When I was little, I thought the Grammys was an award show for grandmothers, exclaimed Callie, my 8-year-old seatmate on Flight 2062. And that diamond of an idea was deposited into my dreams, caused me to believe I could mine history, take the tools of my thoughts and the pencils of my prayers, and imagine a timeless tribute that I call the countdown to the Grammys. 10. Welcome to the Grammys, an inaugural show to honor the hearts, minds, and souls of grandmothers and the grandmotherly everywhere. Welcome to a Coliseum-sized recreation of a grandmother's kitchen. Imagine the screen door as it lets a cool breeze in. Feel the anointing aroma of freshly made biscuits mixed with the martyrs of mothballs. Follow those plastic paths to the plastic-covered couches of her living room and settle into the craters left by her neighbors' last visits. 9. The choice for host is crucial. It must be someone whose worldview extends esteem, who prepares praise, someone who offers honor, who isn't afraid to raise someone else's name. Perhaps Pakistani activist Malala could partner with Lupita or Emma Davis or even Shonda Rhimes if she's still saying yes to everything. 8. For nominations, perhaps today's firsts could lend some of their shine to illuminate their predecessors' lives in each of our eyes. Perhaps Misty Copeland would nominate Raven Wilkinson, one of the first Black ballerinas at a dance company in the 1950s. Maybe bassist Esperanza Spalding would recognize Mary Lou Williams, that pioneering jazz artist of the 1930s. For Best Song, I'd hope someone could be chosen whose impact volcanoed valiantly, whose life leaked lava lyrics that lingered into the spaces the songs of herself had ventured. Someone like Maya Angelou, whose whole being was a melody that others could build on or respond to as she reverberated, rippled, echoed, and created. 7. Grammys could be given to the grandmotherly figures who emptied the emeralds of their efforts to birth brilliance into every industry, geography, across every century. We could laud leaders like Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg or computer scientist Grace Hopper. We could honor overcomers like educator Jane Elliott, who's dedicated 50 years to conquer racist thought, like Septima Clark, who Dr. King called the grandmother of the movement as she brought literacy and drove voting rights for hundreds of thousands. We could lift literary world creators like Amy Tan, Isabel Allende, and Jane Austen, whose imagination's globes gifted magic to each of our minds. We could recognize the resilient, like Catherine Switzer, one of the first women to officially run the Boston Marathon, despite officials' attempts to physically restrain her. We could raise a fist for the fighters, like Dolores Huerta, who partnered with Cesar Chavez to labor for farmers' rights, like Angela Davis, an academic and an activist who said, "I'm no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I am changing the things I can't accept." 6. An entire segment could be dedicated to a grandmother's hands, because her hands are hardened in hardship and jeweled in jubilance. Grandmothers halo whole families together. Some grandmothers fold their hands in prayer. Some have cushions for hands that comfort you when you're bruised. Some clench their hands to cut switches, for when you cut up, then act confused. Some hold lessons they call feathers to help you build your wings so you can rise above the ground in awe of the trinity of treasured in her being. Some grandmothers cause their hands to construct wealth or to leave a legacy out of the ashes of the Korean War or beyond the droughts of southern Delhi or amongst the brownstones of Brooklyn's Flatbush Ave. And if they don't have any money, some grandmothers make their skills and their time, their hugs and their minds their currency, and then they spend themselves willingly. 5. For Best Lyricists, I humbly submit Isabella Baumfree, born in 1797 in slavery in this great New York City. Later, she escaped and became both abolitionist and women's rights activist. She navigated a court system designed to enslave her, and she won and gained freedom for her 5-year-old son. She accepted Christ's claim to grant her identity, and she changed her name to Sojourner Truth and declared, "I am the seed of the free. I intend to bear great fruit." She birthed 13 children, spoke to Presidents Lincoln and Grant, petitioned Congress was an illiterate grandmother who authored books. She brought song into sorrow, was determined and solemn. She unlocked thousands of hateful hearts, set both the prejudiced and their victims free, and her words were the keys. 4. A night dedicated to grandmothers would be remiss not to recognize that not all nanas are soft, calloused hands on your cheeks and freshly made bread. Some passed on packages of pain, anchored their art and child rearing in abuse, injected an inheritance of injury, like the hurt of comparison or some other misuse of power that they too had been given. 3. Overlooking someone is inevitable, because these awards are so long overdue. So perhaps we could include a tribute to the never-to-be-told stories. Perhaps they're best respected with a moment of silence, followed by a credible commitment to dedicate resources to research their radiance, to unearth their dignity we'd bulldozed so long ago or just yesterday in the unmarked graves of our ignorance or complacency. 2. Tomorrow, I'm going to phone my grandmother. I know she'll exclaim, "Hey baby," in that fragile note of her voice, because her dementia has disintegrated my name from her memory. I know that she'll tell me, "Take the Lord with you everywhere you go," because she's always said that. And because at age 96, she's closer to God than she is to this life. Perhaps I'll slow down and attempt to tell her thank you, because that award show whose blueprint I just voiced doesn't really exist. But what happens when a mountain range of memories meets the mystery of could-bes, when we commit to recognize her rarity, these gems of her grit, depth, fire, with beautiful clarity? 1. This poem I wrote that I hoped you could witness is a start. Now who wants to join me to finish? May we always lift, honor, recognize the grandmothers and grandmotherly in each of our lives.